Hey guys, I know, it's been a minute, but here I am. And I am so excited to bring you the most recent recording of the next chapter with Tiffany. And I can't thank you guys enough for hanging in there. Some of you guys will check in periodically and say, "Hey, what's going on? How's things going? Is everything okay?" And just wanting to see if I was still going to be doing any more content. And I always had the intention to do it. Things just got a little chaotic for me last summer. Had a lot of things kind of boil up, and then relationship issues and starting a new job and all kinds of stuff. And I just, for my own health and well-being, I just had to take a step back. But here I am and starting off the year with a bang. And I'm so grateful to bring you the most recent episode of the next chapter with Tiffany. And it's going to be a two-part series as well. And the reason why I do that is because I don't want to do long form, but yet at the same time, when you're embedded in this amazing conversation and things are flowing, it's so hard to cut it off. So that's the hard part. But this one is very near and dear to my heart. And, even when it was over, I kept thinking, dang it, we should have talked about this. And God, I wanted to talk about that. And just, you get going, and sometimes the notes just, you don't even look at them again. And that's something I need to do better at, because the person I'm talking about that I was so honored that decided to finally join me was my girls' dad, Chuck. And anybody that knows Chuck knows that he's a really, really good person. And the point to our conversation is the co parenting thing that both of us take so seriously. And we are so absolutely proud of our girls. And now we're grandparents, and we have a son in law that we share as well, that we just love. In a nutshell, Chuck and I are very, very blessed. And for many years, we've been able to work together in ways that divorced couples just don't do. It's just not common. And I really wanted to put our story out there about what sacrifices that you can make, and accommodations, and just to be considerate and kind and unselfish and giving. And you may find at the end of the day that you end up being really close and like family, like we are. And some people are like, "Ugh," I get it. I mean, I know I have personal experience in an ugly ex situation more than once. And it's just crazy, and it just seems so senseless to us. And anyway, without giving too much away, I just wanted to put our story out there. And like I mentioned, I really could have kept going. And after the fact, there's things I wish we would have talked more about, more adventures and things. But it's okay. If you guys follow us on Facebook at all, you see that we hang out quite a bit, and we've been on vacations together. And it's so fun to be able to enjoy our children, our grandchild, and do it together, because missing out on things while the other one gets to have fun sometimes is like, that sucks, man. So how awesome would it be for people to have that blended type family, but in the reverse way, and thank God that John genuinely likes Chuck, and Chuck genuinely likes John. And it's just a beautiful thing to be able to share moments together. And since you share children, and grandchildren now. But anyway, I thank you guys for spending this time with me and listening to our story. And I really hope that you enjoy it and maybe get something out of it. And maybe somebody that's in your circle that's struggling, trying to get along with an ex, trying to figure some things out. If they can get something out of our story, that would be great. But even if somebody wanted to talk about it with me, I'm all about it. Or even Chuck, And the whole point is, when you bring babies into this world, is to put them first, and be the best example that you can be as a parent, And people that put their feelings and self-centeredness and hurt and anger and resentment first are missing the boat. You're missing the boat. What could be a beautiful thing with an extended family, to where people get along and the kids genuinely really feel secure and loved to the 10th degree. But not everybody can do it. So, anyway, enough of me rambling on. Thank you guys for sticking with me. I look forward to putting out more content. This is going to be part one of a two-part series on co parenting with my girls' dad, Chuck Scott. Thank you guys. The outline and all that, but it's not set in stone by any means. And we deviate, you can go whatever way you want. It does not matter. It's an open space where
Yeah.
you're safe.
Yeah. Well, that's what I
Okay.
told the girls. I said, we're just going to have a conversation and just, if
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody out there will be able to gain anything from us because everybody's kind of got to figure their own stuff out. But
Right.
we'll see
But,
what happens.
I can't even remember how far back I've had so many people that I know that are friends of mine or people that maybe just are aware of our situation. They just think, oh my God, that's so awesome. I wish I could do that. Or I wish my ex was not such a dick or,
Mhm.
or she was such a ball buster or whatever. And you just go, it's really not that difficult. But at the same time, it is, so that's what we're going to talk about because it depends on your personality, right? Depends on what you are as a person. So anyway, welcome to the next chapter, Chuck. Chuckles, as I fondly call you. so, so my goal with this is to hopefully help other people realize that they don't have to be hateful and awful and ugly. And like you just mentioned, it's not that easy, but it depends on the person. And I do believe that if you're just your main goal is to do what's best for the kids and always put them first, I think it should be a no-brainer. I just think no matter what. And if you happen to really like the person that you are co-parenting with, that's obviously an added bonus.
Mhm.
And but anyway, I want to go back in time and tell me about you.
Well, I mean, I've thought a little bit about uh, just kind of where we were, but I come from I don't know, back in the day, a little bit of a rough childhood, a lot of good things, but a stepdad that could be pretty tough in a lot of ways. But so that kind of, and I didn't know it, but that kind of instilled maybe a victimhood mentality in me that I didn't recognize for years and years and years. And,
Right.
you know, didn't understand trauma. And again, not trying to sound like a victim, but just some of the stuff I went through. And then you just at a certain point, you man up and just do what you got to do, and I was always responsible when I took care of things and whatever, but I always had this something deep inside me, and it did. It took a lot of years to kind of finally realize that and realize what I gained from my childhood and not just the negative stuff. And
Right.
that changed my whole perspective on just how I approach things and whatever. So you got to go through that part of me where we were both kind of alpha personalities, but I always felt I took offense to everything. I didn't understand it, but I did.
Mm.
And so you got to experience that, which sorry, but
Oh man, you got to
I,
experience this
well,
in its
yeah.
early. It goes
I mean
both
it.
ways.
Oh, for sure, but I can only be responsible for my thoughts and choices and actions. That's one of the things I had to grow and realize, and I just just take a different approach that I'm responsible for everything in my life. It's my choices, it's my responsibility. I have to be accountable for my actions. And I
Right.
think that's kind of where we're at in society is nobody wants to be held accountable for their actions,
No,
not
I
trying
don't.
to get off on a side thing, but
No, but you're right. It's hard work,
it
you
is.
know,
It sucks,
and
don't get me
God.
wrong.
Well, it's not just that though. It's the ability to dig below the surface and be vulnerable. And
Yeah.
that's the one thing that I know now through the journey I just went through with all the shit. And then previous to that, the hardest thing in a lot of ways for men especially is to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And when you're vulnerable, that is, you're risking everything.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and you weren't taught that it's okay to be vulnerable. But if
Right.
you don't knock down all the bullshit and get down to the raw and dig deep and try to figure out what's going on, how are you ever going to have a healthy relationship, whether it's
Yeah.
with a mate or a friend or even your children?
Mhm.
So I mean, God bless you for doing that. And I've seen that over the years with you, and I'm sure you've seen it with me, the growth and the getting you know, your dick in the dirt, so to speak, and getting knocked down and getting your heart
All that.
broke or
Yeah.
getting your ass
Yeah.
handed to you, whatever it was. And then waking up and looking at yourself and going, oh man, you know what, I don't really like that person, I need to figure out what's going on. And I understand nobody's going to think for 1 second that you're trying to play the victim, because you're not. If you were still in that state that you were 25, 30 years ago, absolutely you would be a victim. But you've done so much work, and I commend you for that
I appreciate
hugely.
that.
Yeah.
Well, and I honestly think God blessing us with those two beautiful girls that we have was,
Yeah. um
I, I, I couldn't have been a dad for boys the way I have with them. And I'm so grateful for that.
yeah.
Those those girls were what really helped change me. And I think I could have perpetuated that other cycle with a son. And I hate to say that, but yeah, those had our daughters are amazing.
Yeah. They are. And I am with you 1,000% on that, that they were a gift from God. And they were meant for you and I. And when you look back about how we ended up together and how fast everything went, it was like we were the thing that was most common that drew us together was we were ready to have babies. We were ready to start a family.
Yeah.
And that was a God thing, because I was coming off of a relationship where I got my ass handed to me. I was heartbroken. I was on the rebound, living with Pam. I was in like,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
chaos, just moving back from McCall and just not knowing what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And you were in a interesting, post relationship, post engagement, and all, I mean, just so much crazy. And if you look back and you think, how the hell did we even end up crossing paths, and then ending up with these amazing children, and then moving forward from there and growing individually,
Hmm.
going through shit. It hasn't, obviously, it hasn't always been rainbows and butterflies
Well,
for
life
us.
life is.
Exactly. So yes, exactly, for us as a unified co-parenting front, but also individually, failed relationships and startovers and moves and all of that. But then to have, and again, thank you, Lord, to have the the ability to come back every time and focus centrally on those girls and what's best for them, and to
Hmm.
go and do what we did through all the adversity. I mean, it's a gift. And I'm so grateful to you that you are that strong male figure that they needed in their lives, because I had 3 marriages, including you and I, and moving, and it's like I never wanted that for my kids,
Yeah.
you know? I never wanted that. You know
Yeah.
how I grew up,
Yep.
same parents, uh, same house, same schools, same friends for a lifetime, and it was always that thing I wanted for them, and it was like it just wasn't in the cards.
Right.
But that's okay because I think our kids are more grounded, loved. They know no matter what, mom and dad have their backs than most kids whose parents are still together.
Yeah.
It's like mind blowing if you think about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other perspective I had to change was that everything we go through in life is an opportunity for a lesson to learn and grow. And that's how God shapes our character. And, so instead of thinking of it as, oh, poor me, I started looking at it as, okay, how do I grow and progress from this and move to the next and whatever. So I think we were brought together kind of for that purpose to, to bring them here
Yep,
and hopefully do our best job to steward them and raise them. And I mean, obviously we have input in their lives, but they've taken their adulthood and just blossomed with it. And it's awesome to
absolutely.
see. And kids can do that more effectively if they've had a pretty stable foundation. And even though we weren't the same family under one roof all those years, which obviously would be cool, uh,
Right.
they, because of like what you just said, they knew we both had their best interest at heart, and we'd always look out for them and try to do the best thing for them. And over the years, I know they see that and they definitely understand that. So I'm just glad that we were able to overcome whatever differences we had, because obviously if you go through a divorce, you kind of accepted that we don't work as a couple, but we have these two little human beings. So now what do we do to do the best for them?
Right.
How do we put our stuff aside and focus on them? And it took some time. I mean, there was definitely some trials and tribulations through there.
Sure.
Uh,
Excuse
but
me.
again, those are things that help you grow in the long run and make you
Right.
stronger
Right.
in the long run. And speaking of the vulnerabilities, those girls let me really get in touch with that and understand, as you just saw a few minutes ago.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, Rex, Amway, and Worldwide Dream Builders and God brought us together.
Oh, Rex. I was thinking about Rex the other day, and I just a little background for like who's Rex? Rex Rettig, right?
I think
Yeah,
something like that.
something like
Rex
that.
and
Anyway,
Sam.
Rex, yeah, Rex. I met Rex in McCall. He lived in McCall when I was living up there. And ironically, that goofy guy, I believe, wasn't he walking through the mall? I was working at the boot barn in the mall or something, and Rex comes walking by or something, and I ran into him, and he was on me about going to this meeting, this thing, this great group of people, Amway, this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? Why not? I would love to get to know people, and I'm back around and just, I'm social. Sure. Come on, Rex,
Yeah, yeah,
and that was it. He introduced me to you, and then that was it. It was a God thing because
yeah.
I don't know how any other freaky weird shit could happen to bring two people together.
Yeah,
And it was and then there you go from there, and literally this, I mean, no joke, it's funny when you tell people this, and it's kind of crazy to think about it, like 30 days later we ran off to Elko and we got married at
yeah,
Brenda's wedding chapel.
yeah,
My
yeah,
friends and family are like, wait, what? Who is this guy? It's Chuckles. It's Chuck. It's, we're going to have a family. And yeah, I was ready. And, in the beginning, I did have a moment where I was like, oh shit, what the hell did I do? And I went to see a friend in Walla Walla, and I didn't know at the time I was pregnant. because I was barely pregnant, and I thought, my stomach kind of felt weird. I would never got sick, nothing, but it was like, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know but it didn't. I mean, we worked through it, and we ended up,
Mhm.
with Riley, and
Yeah.
and that was amazing in itself. The experience with Riley and the birth and the
Oh man.
water, and
Oh
and
yeah.
your mom was in there, my parents were there. First time my dad ever saw any baby born was
He was
Riley, and
he was beside
that
himself. Yeah.
yeah, he's still to this day, it's imprinted on him in ways that, he probably can't even remember any of us being born in such a way, because they back then they didn't allow them to be in the room. They kicked, the old nuns at the Holy Rosary would kick the fathers out,
Oh
throw the ether on the moms,
yeah.
and God, by the grace of God, they survived. But
Mhm.
I mean, such a weird total shift in how things are done. But yeah, with Riley, your mom's in there videoing, my mom and dad is in there, and it was absolutely the most perfect scenario for our parents ever. And I think it actually bonded them
Oh
at
yeah.
this, in such a beautiful way as well, because our
Yeah.
folks have always been pretty close,
Oh, they like each
S-
other. Yeah, it's nice. It's
yeah, yeah.
yeah. There's never any
Our,
conflict with them. I mean, it's
no,
yeah. Only my
no, not at
grandmother
all.
and my aunt.
Yeah, your grandma. Well, that's a whole other
Oh,
podcast. She
grandma.
was She was. She
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. And we had so much fun just traveling, and when you were off doing, car stuff, uh Riley and I'd come and stay with mom and dad, or and then when Riley got older, she'd take her little suitcase, go to your mom's apartment and stay there. And and my grandparents absolutely adored Riley. And so we'd come over here and spend time with grandma and grandpa. Great.
Oh yeah.
She was John
John Henry.
John
John
Henry.
Henry.
Yep. Yep. Grandpa Casey could never remember her name, so he called her John Henry. And I I just that was so valuable for me to have that connection with them, and with the grandparents. And it was such a shame that at that phase, there was the age gap and the health reasons and stuff, that Sid never got to meet any great grandparents.
Oh
None of
man,
They were all
they
gone.
went so
Yeah.
fast. She did my grandma the last time we went to the coast and she was living in a elderly facility over by Portland. Ann and David moved over
Oh,
there and we got to go and see her.
okay.
He was like just thrilled, just the whole
Oh,
time smiling. And then we were over
I
there.
guess I didn't realize that
It was a real
time
short visit,
frame.
but she died like
Yeah.
just a few months after that.
Okay, that's
So
probably why the time frame was so close.
yeah, and
Yeah.
Sid wasn't very old, but
Right.
he did get to at least. But yeah, because we lost three on your side, my grandpa, and then I don't remember if it was. I think it was your grandma and then my grandma, and
Oh,
then
it was back to back to back. Yep.
for a while.
My mom's
Yeah,
parents and
yeah,
my dad's parents, all within a year-ish, year and a
yeah.
half
Hmm.
of each other. It was like bam, 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 bam. And man, I hated it. And Sid, I was pregnant with Sid. She was less than 2 months away from being born when my grandma passed away. And she was in a facility over here in Weezer, and she was, she was gone in her brain. And God, I hated that. I mean, it gets me emotional just thinking about it, because I
Oh,
wanted so badly for grandma to at least lay her hands on Sid. And yeah, but
well,
I
she got an imprint of her spirit. Sid's got that just beautiful, loving heart that just wants
yeah,
everybody to be happy. She's always
yeah,
been that way, and
yeah,
she's gotten stomped on a few times in her life because of it. But I'm glad she I'm glad she held that. I'm glad she maintained that because that's a
yeah.
rare trait in the world today. You
Oh,
know,
huge. Yeah.
Riley's got it
It,
too. She just has a little bit more of a veneer. You've got to be close to Riley to get that.
yeah.
She's a little more like me. She kind of I can be social if I want to be, but a lot of times I just shut myself off except for my core group.
Right.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
but
She's a
yeah,
little more cautious, definitely, and
and that's
not
okay.
withdrawn. but just a
Yeah.
little more cautious.
Yeah.
And yeah, they both though, like, we could say till the cows come home that the pride the pride and love that we have in those girls is, and then now that grandbaby that we get to
Oh man.
share is, it's like unmatched. You just, but when people say, oh, you love your children, yeah, but then those grandbabies, I get that, but I'm telling you, it's gargantuan amounts of love, absolutely, for all of them. And it is going to be fun to see how that evolves when more babies come.
Hmm.
But I definitely still have such overwhelming love for those girls, and overwhelming love for Silas, but it is definitely different, but not
Hmm.
in a way of like push her to the side and I want my grandbaby. It's more
Right.
like I hug everyone equally, and then grandbaby loving.
Well, you've been through so many things with your daughters, and you've got that bond that's so tight and special, and both of us.
Yeah.
Silas it's just pure love because he's pure, sweet, and innocent, but we're going to grow with him
Yeah.
and have more experiences with him. And those are the things, and especially now that he's so much more interactive and
Hmm.
so excited about
Oh
you
man.
know, the,
Adventure.
oh, for sure, for sure. I can't wait for this to be, he wants to go with grandpa or you or whatever and go,
Yeah.
I don't know, take a ATV ride and go watch the sun come up or something. I don't know.
Exactly. Go shoot the guns, or go
Yeah. Oh,
fishing, or go
yeah.
up to Jarbidge. Everybody come to Nevada and go to Jarbidge,
Yeah.
and just, yeah, definitely he's definitely going to be outdoorsy between daddy and us and John and the life that we all enjoy. He's
Yeah.
definitely going to be the outdoorsy kid, which is obviously all of our grandkids will be, and which
Yeah.
is so beautiful. But um so let's get into when, well, of course we had Sid, but we were definitely on the tail end. Sid was a gift, because I
Mhm.
think we were already struggling by then, and she was just an absolute gift from God. I almost had her in the car because she was ready to
Oh no.
to come. She was ready to greet the world before we even got to the birthing center. Had another water birth. It was beautiful and amazing. Um, and I'll tell you, those two girls, when Riley was 4 and Sid was a newer, new little one, and the 4-year age gap was just perfect. I the fun that we had with Riley being a little helper and then being a little jealous, and the going back and forth, and then seeing them grow into the best friends they are today,
Mhm.
with so many ins and outs in between, is so sweet. And so when people say, oh, I want my kids back to back to back, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, but I'll tell you what, that 4-year gap, I
Mhm.
think, is it's about as perfect as it gets, in my opinion, I thought.
I liked it.
And yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of experiences that we got to have before we got to have another one and do a lot of the same things. And of course,
Yeah.
with Sid being so young when we divorced, there were some of those things that we didn't get to experience the same. And
Exactly.
well, our relationship, we always loved each other, but we had to grow and learn each other too. And then
Right.
finally, one day when I was getting upset at her being chirpy at me, I realized, oh shit, she's just a smartass like me and her mom. So now I got to
Yep.
just, we created it, so now I got to deal with it. But
Right,
she
right.
cracks me up. She's pretty funny.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you're right. Like I was so grateful I was able to spend so much one-on-one time with Riley. I got to stay home for the most part for a lot of the time, and just took part-time here and there as she got a little older. But I was so grateful, and I read to her all the time, and when, you if you had to travel or whatever, having that time with her was just so much fun for me. And that's
Yeah.
when I would come visit mom and dad and go and do things if I didn't want to be there alone. Or and
Right.
sometimes we went with you. We'd go
Yeah.
to Seattle, travel, and go see your sister, and it was just it was a lot of fun. And then go on these road trips and go on vacation, and we had a lot of fun. It was, that's one thing that we always liked was traveling. It's just
Hmm.
go, let's just go.
Yeah.
And
Just adventures. Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
outdoors and all that.
Yeah.
And when Sid came, it was, the timing sucked just because she was just a little far, a year ish when we separated and the whole big
Mm.
move. And so that did, it threw us both into a bit of a tailspin in a lot of ways. Cause here I was, you know, uh, pretty much used to not working full time endlessly and being on my own and all of that, so getting that new life, trying to figure that out, and then you with your family's no longer around and trying to figure out what the hell am I going to do. And I mean, you can only speak to that, but I was fully aware that it was not easy for either of us, no matter
Yeah.
what.
Yeah.
That I had to go to work full time. The kids went into daycare. I came back here to pay it. Thank goodness, mom and dad. I mean, this is the same apartment, which the
Yeah.
old office that I
Yeah.
tried to convert, which was a great space for us. That
Right.
was a lot to take on with. I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of transition. So for you, um, I know you went through a like bouncing around a little bit and trying to figure some stuff out. Ended up in Washington. So tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah. I kind of the way that all the timing worked out, I'd kind of pursued some opportunities because I've been spending so much time up there in Seattle, and yeah, I remember you and I went up and looked at places to live, possibly, and whatever. But
Right.
anyway, that our deal ended, and I went ahead and moved up there. And in retrospect, I probably wouldn't have done that, but it, I don't know. It was, I don't know, what was I up there, 2.5, 3 years or so before I came
Yeah.
back, maybe something like that. I, I kind of, I kind of went off the rails a little bit up there,
Right.
and it was, I went, in the end of it, I went through some dark stuff, which I needed to,
Right.
part of that whole growth process. But um, yeah, all the traveling back and forth to see the girls and do that gave me a lot of time to think,
Right.
so I almost never listen to the radio or anything. I just kind of think. But
Right.
I, it, so in retrospect, I probably wouldn't have moved away just to be close to the girls, but their victimhood mentality kicked in again, and I was kind of pissed, and I was kind of like, well, fine. And so I just went ahead and moved to Seattle. As how I look at it now, it's like I didn't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I could have figured it out and made it work here,
Right.
but I don't know. Yeah, you go through these things, you can't regret it if you grew from it, you
Right.
know.
Right.
So in the end, I did, and that's what I have to take away from it. I mean, yeah, it was it was an interesting time in my life, but you
Yeah.
know, the only
I was
thing. Go ahead.
no, no, no. I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, without reliving it, I mean, I
Right.
started partying too much, and just my responsibility at that point in my life kind of went out the window a little bit. I kind of
I
went a
know.
little
I
nuts.
know.
Yeah,
I was not happy with you at that time. I was like,
yeah,
okay, so I'm here by myself trying to figure shit out. I don't have a backup. Mom was working full time. The kids were sick. Remember that? They were sick all the time. They had the tonsil and adenoid thing coming sooner than later. And it was like, I was resentful that I did not have help. And then there were times that you wouldn't get here and your mom would take them on your visitation. And, again, we had to go through it. And I don't
mhm,
have any resentment or anything at all now. Nothing, of course, because we had to get here through there. So
yeah,
totally, absolutely, 100%. But it was a tough time for both of us. I it was really difficult to not have your presence here. I need help. I mean, I was working full time, the daycare thing. The kids were constantly sick. I lost a job. Remember that? I got fired because they were sick so much. And then there's like, well, where's your backup? I don't have a fucking backup.
Mm-hmm.
This coming from a guy who never had to deal with anything like this in his life. I thought, you are a dick.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you say that to a single mother who's just
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure this stuff out? So yeah, no regrets with the path that has led me here. And I you're probably going to agree with that because you've just already said it. If you don't suffer, if you don't go through adversity, how will you ever grow?
The people that choose not to grow are the victimhood mentality. It's
Mm,
everybody else's fault. It's never them. And
yeah,
and I know that for a fact because that was me. So
yeah,
yeah, going through that and finally owning my actions, thoughts, choices, whatever, we went through a little bit of the healing time when I got back here to the valley. Then you guys moved. That created another tumultuous
absolutely.
situation.
Right.
But then after a little bit of time, we started making the best of that.
Yeah.
And look at what brought us even closer together was big game hunting,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Oh yeah. Well,
it,
let's talk about Nevada because Nevada is in my mind the move to Nevada was the biggest issue that we had. The good thing though, let's go back a little further though, because we, like you said, we were doing great. Like I was married, living in Boise, and anytime that Mike and I would go anywhere, do anything, be away, whatever, you're the first person I would call. It was not grandma. They were never available for anything like that. And the idea was keep the kids in their own house and in school, because if that's what you can do, that's great. I didn't like farming them out. A lot of their friends, this is Riley, of course, because she was the oldest, her friends were so dysfunctional. I mean, for the most part, you remember some of them, or you live with grandma and she smokes like a train, whatever it was. I am not farming the kids out to anybody. There was just not a choice. You were always the first person I would ask. So you would come to the house more times than not and stay in the house with them, because anytime I had a relationship, it was Chuck is part of the package. He is an extension of my family. He's my girls' dad. He would be the first person I call. And I that's it. So it was the one good thing that Mike did was agree that that was fine for you to do that because there was no other choice. Taking them out of school, it wasn't in the cards for me. So that was a beautiful thing. Fast forward to when Mike and I were no longer, and I bought that house in Caldwell. And I think you were already back around by then, and you
yeah,
were
I lived
you
there
were
then.
around. Yeah, yeah. So that was great. But then this ding dong decides to start dating a guy in Winnemucca, Nevada. And we dated several months, back and forth, going back and forth. And then he asked me to marry him. And it was a tough decision in the fact that I had this great house in Caldwell that I had bought by myself. I was working full time at the college. Life was good. The kids were settled. Like, what the hell are you doing? It caused some animosity, rightfully so, because you're like, I just got back here. I'm here now, and you're leaving. That's not okay, right?
Well, I appreciate you seeing it from my perspective, but that's how I felt. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. No, it broke my heart because I knew that it was a problem. I knew that it was going to be an issue, of course. But you know what? We went to mediation. We worked through. I tried so hard to say, look, I will do this. I will run them here. I will come there. You're always welcome anytime there. We don't have to stay on a rigid schedule. I will lessen your child support. I will do this. I will do that. I will do anything that it takes to make it easier for you because it's easier for the kids. And you will always be the first person I call when we're going to be out of town and you come and stay or you get a room, you do whatever you want. And that's what we did. We did
Yeah.
it that way as well.
Yeah.
And it worked itself out. And, I have this vivid memory of when you, and there's a video of it too, when Sid was going through a tough time and on her birthday, and you showed up at Winger's restaurant
Oh
and
yeah,
surprised her. Remember
yeah.
that?
Riley and I both, I think, didn't we?
Yeah,
Or
that's right. Yep, that's
yeah,
right. Because Riley was gone at the time. She was already back
yeah,
here with you.
yeah,
And just those kind of things where you can coordinate together, have those moments, the graduation parties, the birthday parties, the big events, the whatever it was, the hunting,
yeah,
like remember when we lived up when I was with Kyle, and we lived up Water Canyon, and
yeah.
Sid we drive what, a mile up the road,
If
maybe
that.
two,
Yeah.
if
Well,
that,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and up Water Canyon, and Sid shoots this beautiful first buck at 200 and whatever yards, one
Like
shot.
212 or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah, one shot. Yeah. Oh
you
yeah, I
were
remember that.
there. You
Oh
were
yeah.
there. It was always, no, you, this is what's going, she's got a tag. This is what's going on. Riley's got a tag, whatever it was. That was, you were there. And it was very important that you were able to be in on all of that stuff for them. And it was a beautiful thing. And then there was that other, the other buck when we were on the Golconda property, and we're
Oh
walking the big buck laying down.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
a great, so it was just us because Kyle was being a pouty baby. And so it was just you, me, and Sid out
The
in
second
Golconda,
one. Yeah,
Nevada,
yeah, yeah. That was
walking
awesome.
around.
That, yeah.
There were
I'll
deer
never forget
everywhere.
that. Yeah. Well, I mean, I had some great memories there, and
Yeah.
I'll give props to Mike, to Kyle, uh, even John. Of course, I love John.
Yes.
John's always
Yeah.
been great.
Of course.
Uh,
Yes.
and you are at your best with John. I see the best stuff in both of you guys, so that's cool.
Oh, well, thank you.
Um, but for those other guys to open their homes to me and make that
Yeah.
part of it, and I certainly did my best to acquiesce to them and let them know I'm not trying to be anything other than their dad. Right? There's
Exactly.
no
Yep.
threat here. I'm not
Yep.
stepping on toes, and I appreciate what you're doing. Like Kyle, he's a good dude. He's just pretty thin-skinned.
Yeah.
So most of our conversations, I would just ask him questions and I learned a lot about Nevada from him.
Oh,
Honestly,
yeah.
yeah,
Total Nevada guy.
yeah.
Total.
But
Yeah.
but just letting him talk, and so he and I kind of liked each other. I don't think there was ever
Oh, no.
anything there, but
Never.
yeah, no,
No.
I'm glad it's worked out that way. It wasn't always, the thought of it wasn't always the most comfortable, but again, because it was the best thing for them, it was
Yeah.
work. But then, it would work out just fine, and there was never a problem. So I'm glad it
Yeah.
worked that way.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Oh yeah, the hunting adventures though were always something that I looked forward to. Having you there was important to me as well. Of course, the first thing was about the girls and having you there to include you in that, because I grew up hunting, and
yeah,
I am more of a wide range kind of a hunter than my dad, but I learned everything from him and then just
cool.
grew from there. And those moments, I mean, it gets me emotional that I can't have that anymore.
Yeah, yeah. That's sad.
It's very sad because the first person that I ever wanted to call when I shot that bull, and anything I ever killed without him, was my daddy. And I'm a grown ass woman.
Oh,
Um,
yeah,
but it doesn't matter because I know my relationship with my dad is absolutely so important to me. And so having you and the girls be that level is is absolutely so important. And so having you there on those adventures, and then when we moved into the house on Palisade, and Riley, had moved back here after graduation and all of that, and had time with just you, living with you, was such a turn. Now it's your time, 100% your time. And now I thought that was so beautiful how both girls transitioned from Winnemucca after graduation and then moving back, and they both moved in with you at
Mhm.
different times. And I mean, your relationship had to have grown in ways that you just never had, right?
Indeed. Yeah, I thought as you were speaking there too that to tie into what that is, it's I wouldn't change a thing we've gone through for the relationship that I have with my adult daughters today.
Thank you once again for joining us for another episode of The Next Chapter with Tiffany. Stay tuned for part 2 of our 2-part series on co-parenting. And once again, thank you so much for your support.